Greetings, building science enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Building Science Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Bowtex Systems, a Texas-based manufacturer of a high-performance insulated concrete wall system. Here on the Building Science Podcast, we stress the importance of the building enclosure to the overall comfort, health, safety, durability, and efficiency of our buildings. And you've also heard us say that the enclosure needs to do the heavy lifting. In fact, the enclosure may be the most important first decision you make on your next construction project. We believe that some of the best solutions for a high-performance building enclosure are monolithic mass wall assemblies, like the Bowtex wall system. Bowtex walls include structure, enclosure, and insulation all in one assembly and is installed by a single trade. Manufactured locally here in Central Texas, fast to construct, and labor-friendly, Bowtex walls deliver competitive first costs and provide a lifetime of savings on energy and maintenance costs. Better buildings start with better walls. To learn more about how to design and build better buildings using Bowtex, go to bowtexsystems.com/building science. That's how they'll know that we sent you. That's BAUTEX systems.com/building science. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Building Science Podcast.
Welcome to the Building Science Podcast.
Bringing the human factor to construction, design, and architecture. Brought to you by Positive Energy in Austin, Texas. Hey there, listeners. This episode was recorded live at this year's Texas Society of Architects Convention and Expo. There's some background noise. It's not the quiet studio setting that you're so used to hearing us record in with the dogs barking and birds chirping and whatnot. This is a little more rowdy.
Okay, hello and welcome back to the Building Science Podcast. We are doing another session live from TXA. I have the good fortune to have met two architects here that I've been wanting to talk with for a long time on this podcast. Seriously, because of what they do. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'd like to introduce Michael and Kristen Padavic with PSW Architecture. And Michael, could you introduce your role with PSW, or you could say hello and introduce yourself?
Sure, hi. Yep, Michael Padavic. I am the Director of Architecture with PSW. We're a real estate company concentrating on infill development in Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, and Seattle.
And as Director of Architecture, all those cities are your venue?
We oversee the majority of the projects.
Purview?
Yeah. We there's a few projects that we do have to outsource, just kind of local codes or design restrictions, but for the majority of them, we have them in-house.
Awesome. And Kristen?
Yes, I'm Kristen Padavic. I'm the lead designer at PSW. So Mike and I collaborate with our team of 10 right now to design homes.
Wow, a team of 10.
Yeah, we design homes and multifamily and mixed-use projects all over right now. So we're very busy.
And what an amazing coincidence. You have the same last name.
I know.
Yep.
Wife and husband.
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason I've been wanting to talk about PSW on the podcast is because PSW has grown from a small developer back when I was doing code tests for you guys to big. I mean, I guess not big, to much bigger.
Yeah.
And how many units, or what do you call them, dwellings a year are you doing?
I should probably know this.
Roughly.
But man, I am stumped on the number right now, but I would say we hope to deliver between 200 and 400 units a year.
That's a lot.
And that's in across each market. And that
in
includes,
each market?
No, that would be
Across
a total,
all
right?
markets,
Okay.
yeah.
Across all markets, and that would include single-family detached through apartments and condo and townhouse. Now, when we came on board, it was just single-family detached, small, like 10 to 30 unit projects, and
There's a learning curve there, isn't there?
yeah, and now
We always knew we wanted to focus on urban infill. So it's sort of we wanted to be able to provide every product that is in that zone without going outside of it or really into the downtown core. So we've been sort of training our team as to how to slowly bring on each type of project within that zone.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, so you guys have been kind of helping the company move that direction.
Well, Mike's
Yeah,
one
no,
of the
I would-
owners, so yeah.
Yeah, I would think.
Are you the P in PSW?
No.
No, there's no P.
No, that was there before us. So, but well, we joke sometimes that it should be, but no. I think, and this might be, kind of a little self-confidence, but I like to think that the abilities of the team have allowed us to enter those other product types without too much concern. It's been a pretty relatively seamless transition from single family into the multifamily on the design side. So, and that just comes from Kristen and my background, and then some of the other people we've been fortunate to bring on are talented to learn it and or have the experience there to build it and design it. So.
And because we're vertically integrated, we have construction in-house and our civil engineering team in-house, which is so important because of the kind of sites we work on in urban infill. They're very complicated, and we need them working with us at all times to figure out the water strategy on this is going to be a real nightmare. It might be the driver of the project design. So having all that in-house allows us to really collaborate and work fluidly through it.
That's so huge. So my interest in PSW actually came from, well, I've known PSW for a long time, but I was the HBA was like on their education committee for quite a while here in Austin.
Yeah.
And man, did the production builders and I not get along, because the things that I wanted to upgrade on thermal comfort and health, we only want to hear about it because it's going to mess with our model and our profit and everything we're doing.
Which was all sales driven.
Right. Yeah. And and more, but I don't want to get too poke people in the eye-ish. But PSW, like Andy Weber, even at a higher level, Will Winkler, I've known him for a long time, has listened and has said, man, I want to figure out how to move the industry forward, and not just from a brand strength perspective, although I know that's logically and intelligently in it, but from a caring perspective. I care about what people, where they live, and so you guys have just done. You haven't brought us in house, and I don't want us to be brought in house, but mechanical designs for residential spaces, like for single family residential. There's a PE stamped mechanical design that rarely happens, and you're looking at VRF systems. You put in VRF systems recently.
It's going in on a project currently under production. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And started to look at it even on
our
one
multifamily.
Multifamily, and also a Dallas project that just was released for pre-sales as well.
Yeah.
It's like social entrepreneurship in some ways, right? You actually give back a little bit of money, or actually a lot of bit of money to make a better product, to do good. And I sound like Forrest Gump a little when I say that, but it's true.
What's interesting is the way we have to then kind of market it or discuss it. Market is probably the technical word, but just the discussions you have to have with internally with people on the team, but then with people who are looking to buy and some of the benefits, in addition to the cost savings and this and that, but the way it opens up some of the floor plans and the way it changes the way you can experience the space is something that
I love
it's the next level of discussion.
Yeah. So you're talking about the palette of colors because the air handlers have different form factors. That's one of the dimensions, right?
Yeah, and just the size of the equipment changes everything. And as dense as our communities are, one of the most simple factors, just how quiet those outdoor units are, just impact. You don't just have this crazy, loud deal going on.
6 feet between the homes and buzzing and rattling.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can wall mount it even. And
exactly.
15 inches thick.
Exciting.
Yeah. So here's the pop quiz. Are you guys listening? They haven't heard this question yet.
Oh, no.
So the question we've been asking everyone at this TXA is that there are undoubtedly multiple dimensions of beauty, of quality, of performance that you as architects, that you can you're perfecting your craft evolves throughout your career, and you focus on different things. So you guys are working in a fast-paced, highly integrated environment within PSW. What dimension of quality or dimension of beauty is on your mind these days as you're being architects? That's a question, isn't it?
Dimension of beauty. Let's think about
beauty maybe is not quite the right word, but quality or performance, it's got to look good for the eyeballs. But there's other dimensions that it should be good in, right? Energy or air quality.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I'm always thinking about the impact it has on the community and how people can use it. You know, I'm thinking about a lot of our projects on South First. South First has already an energy that's...
It's a downtown Austin neighborhood.
Yeah, it's got a lot of energy that's really fun and dynamic. And we're going to be building, 3 projects plus down on there that are going to be probably some of the biggest projects South First has seen yet. And how do we make that project feel of a scale that people can accept and that'll feel good to the community? And also, how can it only enhance that energy that's already there?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of what we're thinking about every day is, you know, we don't want it to be a big ugly eyesore that it's new. We want it to feel like it's always been there. And how does it relate to the neighbors? And, you know, we work with the neighborhood groups to, you know,
You work with the neighborhood groups.
For years on many projects because it really matters to us that it's a part of the neighborhood. It's not just, you know, we're not going anywhere like some developers. We live in Austin. Our kids go to the school there. You know, everybody at our company is sticking around, and we want to make sure our buildings do too.
Yeah, so, Ross Wilson lives right around the corner from me.
Yeah.
And I live near the South First neighborhood. Yeah. It's fascinating.
So that's for me. Mike, you got anything else?
Well, I think, you know, there's with as fast paced and as quick that everything has to be delivered, it's really important to just take a step back and make sure we're doing what's best for the site, what's best for the project, and that's on several different levels. I mean, there's something great about these infill development projects because people want to live there and they like being around people and they like density, and so they activate the community. You know, they don't just go home through their garage and into their house, and the next time they leave is when they go to work next day. They're out seeing
walkable.
Friends. Yeah, I mean the Canopy project in the South Lamar neighborhood also just like the way that the community takes over like the corners of that project, and they have, you know, Easter celebrations.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Trick or treating, just within the community, and it just it's that sort of interaction and involvement that, you know, kind of needs to be through from the beginning to the end of the project. Is we need to care about it.
Sure.
At that sort of level, because, you know, these aren't homes that we're just going to finish and then walk away, right? These are now the people who buy there are part of the PSW family and want to continue a relationship with them, and that's one of the reasons why, you know, we do apartments all the way through high-end, you know, not yet, but even potentially custom homes, so that somebody can be involved in our projects and somebody can live in one of our homes from, you know, when they're looking for their first apartment and saving up for their first house all the way through
retirement.
They're forever homes.
And so like what you're talking about with kind of the quality of the space, not only in terms of like livability or how you know kind of sit and read a book or watch TV or whatever, but that you want to be comfortable in that space and know that you're comfortable in that space.
Breathe clean air in that space.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really important. So.
Yeah. I actually have one so I recognize that PSW is really facing head-on some of the core issues, challenges, you know, that's the friendly way to say it, like problems with the infrastructure that is in place right now, currently delivering conditioned space to society. And some of those are pretty intractable issues. And one of the things I noticed that you guys are doing is you're strategically trying to think about, well, what do I need to bring in-house and what can I still subcontract? And as you do that, it seems to me that, because you're mentioning the civil engineer is in-house, communication and integration of expertise through not just the design process, but through the construction administration phase, post-occupancy. Are you guys involved in that as well? I mean, obviously on the design. How do you do that? Like do you use certain software tools, or is there someone at your company that's like, what's the best construction management software?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Right now, I think we're using every software out there. So, sort of the joke is like, we find something we think it's interesting, we bring it in house, and then find a way to to use it. But
break it.
I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, it's difficult, especially because some of the mentality is still on that 12-person company that we joined 6 years ago.
Has it been
now,
6
Where we all
years?
did everything.
Yeah. And you still have a lot of people who were instrumental in starting the company and helping it grow that still want to get their fingers into each little bit. And that's difficult because it's the next step is turning it over, and that's where some software, we've tried some of that stuff, but the beauty is bringing on people then who have experience in these larger scale software or systems, and you do find out that you, instead of to use Will's word, we've got a bunch of Swiss Army knives that we need to turn into scalpels. You got to have everybody who you have to get a few more specialists in there, and so you need, at a certain side, you need like a systems operations person who understands if we're going to bring in this software and this software, how they integrate. There's a lot of customization there,
and there's probably, we over collaborate, because we're constantly talking about the story of the project and how it moves through and all the way to the end of it, and the architects do a lot of that talking because we are the ones sort of formulating it and talking about it and making sure that even the people who are buying it know that story. But we're collaborating with all the teams constantly. I mean, we talk to the sales team forever about the product. I mean, they're involved right after we buy the property. The sales team is involved with helping us generate the story and understanding our vision for it, their vision for it, everyone's vision for it. So we sort of bring everybody on the team along through the process. So by the time it's out there, it's our baby.
That's beautiful.
So.
I mean, a lot of times, obviously these are PSW is a for-profit company, and it darn well should be. And so there is this number, there's this bottom line, annual revenue, projected revenue, that can't be ignored. And at the same time, it tends to drive the ship a little bit, right? The ideas of builder-grade, developer-driven are, the associations with those terms is a symptom of what's really driving the ship here.
And it's and a lot of times you see that's sort of the lowest common denominator driving that. But I always say I'm very thankful that our division president in Austin, who's our first division president here, is an architect.
Oh, that's cool. Who is that?
Well, Ross. He's trained as an architect. So it's a great thing because he sees things and helps us push certain things to the finish line that a lot of builders would say, there's no way we can do that.
Yeah.
And he helps push that forward, and that's helped all of our markets push that forward. But in Dallas as well, and in Seattle as well. So that's exciting.
And I think going back to having those parts in house, what we really appreciate is we're like tied in with a purchasing team. It's a real big function on many home builders, and we get to sit with them at the table and say, all right, well, what is this? What's the cost on this project right now? And I really want this to have, some steel awnings, or I really want to get some metal roofs in here. What can we?
It's all about balancing.
Where's the trade-off?
Yeah.
Where's the balance? And having all those pieces in-house instead of paying someone for that service or subcontracting that out. Like when you're at the same table, you kind of all have a united goal to get the best product and at the right cost. So we're able to work through that.
Yeah, it's so important. It's interesting. So designing how to talk to design encompasses so much. How to talk to sales, which piece to bring in-house. Yeah, it's fascinating. So I actually need to go to do a session.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
I'd like to offer you one final comment if you have anything to say. Shout out to your mom.
Just real briefly as it relates to kind of the work you do and where we're trying to push sustainability, the biggest sort of eye-opener for us was when we started building in Seattle and seeing how a lot of the stuff we do in Central Texas is sort of 3-star work that they do in Seattle, and where we really need to get to as a company to be who we say we are is like that's the next step, and that's something I think we're all excited about taking our next step.
That's the baseline in Seattle. So it's
Absolutely.
it's exciting to have that, as a part of our company to push ourselves to be more and better.
Well said. Yeah, I was just in Seattle for the Passive House conference and walking the streets and being who I am. Of course, I'm like, this is looking good, and I felt that I wish I could walk around Austin and say this is looking good rather than, oh my goodness, this is looking like the 1980s, That's well said, you guys. Okay, thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much
Having
again
us.
for taking the
Thanks a
time.
Thanks.
And we'd also like to thank TXA for making this happen, and of course our sponsor, Bautex.